Crimson Desert time. Let's talk Crimson Desert. Last week, one of the most anticipated games of the year came out, and it would be a bit of an understatement to say that it stumbled out the gate. Crimson Desert, they said, on your mark, get set, go. They shot the gun. Crimson Desert started running. It tripped over his 2 left feet, rolled down the hill, got dirt all over his face, manure, twisted his ankle, and his girl left him cliff. But that being said, the dev team has shown resilience. They got up, they dusted themselves off, and they said, we are going to address the issues. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get, because most of this is positive. Let me get that out the way. Before we get into the positives, I would like to state to the Crimson Defense Force, the Crimson Desert Defense Force, if there was nothing wrong with this game, why did the dev team work all last week and the weekend drop? I've never seen a new game get so many fucking patches in the first week. I think this thing got 4 patches, and one of them was like 30 gigabytes or some shit like that, bruh. So if there was nothing wrong with this game, Crimson Desert Defense Force, why did they patch it so much? Just some food for thought. Crimson Desert Steam reviews jumped to mostly positive as the latest patch makes significant improvements. And you know what sucks about this? This is good for them because they're listening to feedback. We talked about this on the podcast, new podcast, youtube.com/GI updates. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and plug it real quick because I need y'all to hit the hype button. We talked about it on the podcast a little bit. And one of the things we talked about is this game right here this game would have really benefited from more Q&A. This is why Q&A is important. Ethos had the theory that the developers who were working on this game, when they were programming the buttons, the controls, they just did the first thing that come to mind, but they didn't really think about it. And as they continued to develop the game, they got so used to the controls, they probably thought they were good. But it's important to bring in people and test them and see what they think and get feedback. Because the game hadn't even been out a week and they changed the controls. Yeah, they probably used AI for the QA. You need feedback on your product to improve it. You said link, I got you. This is the new one. Make sure to hit the like button and hit the hype button as well. I'm dropping it in both chats. But yeah, now that the patches are coming out, the game, apparently the latest patches really fixed a lot of stuff. The game is now, it mostly has positive reviews on Steam. Crimson Desert Steam reviews are improving, moving up from mixed to mostly positive on Valve's platform as developer Pearl Abyss releases game-changing updates. As IGN has reported, Crimson Desert launched big on Steam with nearly 250,000 concurrent players, but is met with a mixed user review rating. Much of the early criticism from the game revolved around the controls, which some had called clunky and unnecessarily complicated. I agree. You could tell it was made by people who made an MMO. Facts. There were some performance issues as well. I agree. For example, PS5 owners joined forces to work on the cause of blurry visuals, an issue which was also caused on the PC. I also saw a brick in people's PS5s, people falling through the map and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Pearl Abyss saw its stock price plunge nearly 30% and what was seen as a reaction to review scores from critics. A day after launch, the company's stock fell a further 9% despite the announcement of $2 million in sales. According to the Korean business press, Pearl Abyss reportedly spent 7 years making Crimson Desert, with development costs coming in at 200 billion won, or approximately $133 million. Also, it came out that they were using AI as well. Today's patch addresses keyboard and mouse control complaints and improved control responsiveness with the promise of more to come. But it also made a long list of quality of life improvements, including the addition of an actual storage box, nerfs to a lot of the difficulty in the game, and more fast travel points. And there are some key fixes too, detailed in the patch notes below. This update, which arrives just a few days after Crimson Desert came out, really does change the experience in the quality of life terms and should make the game more easygoing overall. Now, Crimson Desert Steam reviews are mostly positive across both English-only reviews and all reviews. At the time of this article's publication, 70% of the 37,000 Steam user reviews were positive. That percentage jumps to 77% for English language reviews. Today, March 23rd, Pearl Abyss stock price went up slightly by 0.6%. They said leaving the AI in was an accident. I don't believe it. I don't believe it either. They had been working on this game since 2017, bro. I don't believe that shit. We're currently reviewing various gameplay elements based on your feedback, and we'll roll out further improvements and fixes in the subsequent updates. Pearl Abyss said, "We remain committed to improving Crimson Desert and your experience in Pywell. Thank you once again for your continued support. And if you want the full patch notes, I will drop them in the chat. The reviews improving literally just proves that the reviews beforehand weren't negative for no reason, but genuinely honest. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't understand why people were running such a strong defense for this game, bruh. Nobody said it was trash. It just had it was a good game with some very glaring problems. Now, what I will say is, because people are so busy trying to push agendas instead of just giving proper feedback and then enjoying the game for what it is, what's gonna happen? And listen, I got a prediction. What's going to happen now, I said it on the podcast, I think the definitive version of this game will be a year from now. It'll be like a Cyberpunk 2077. They'll keep dropping patches and patches and changing the game, quality of life and gameplay mechanics and stuff, right? And a year from now, this game will probably be significantly better. And because of it, people are then gonna go and use the YouTube reviews, the written reviews, and they're gonna call the reviewers liars. They're gonna use this to push the anti-journalist conversation. See, these journalists don't know what the fuck they talking about. These reviews lie, da 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 da. And this is why context and nuance matters. Because at the end of the day, I cannot stress enough. Although it's great that the game is improving and they're doing it as quickly as possible, this is the way the game should have been in the first fucking place. But watch people use this as an agenda to try to push the anti-journalist fucking agenda. And that shit is stupid. Because the world moves so fast, people will forget the state the game launched in. A lot of y'all forgot the state Cyberpunk launched in. That's why I believe y'all when y'all say it's better, but that's why I hold the opinion of that, because I played Cyberpunk at launch. I fell through the map about 1,500 million thousand times. Problem is, it's hypocrisy. You can look at most and say the 7A score game is bad in their old timeline. It's currently a 7A game they love. Yeah, it's all preference. And it's funny too, because they all agreed. So yeah, we'll be checking out that update. More Crimson Desert news in regards to the development of the game. I guess some of the developers are not happy because they out here snitching. New report claims Crimson Desert's development was plagued by a hodgepodge of features crammed together and leaders who don't acknowledge anyone who doesn't share their exact mindset. Two Pearl Abyss developers have claimed Crimson Desert was developed in a troublesome environment characterized by inverted management hierarchy and leaders who don't acknowledge anyone who doesn't share their exact mindset. While the claims are anonymous and cannot be independently verified, both were posted to Blind, an industry-only closed online community that requires members to verify their identities before joining. Meaning it's like a message board where developers can hide their identity and post things without, fear of backfire, because you have to be verified. So they are verified developers. They've also been translated by the machine, so may include some mistakes and missing nuance and context. The first revealed that Crimson Desert originally wasn't like this, which is why there's no talk about Crimson Desert in the Crimson Desert. When I read that, I was like, wait a minute. Why is the game called Crimson Desert? That makes a lot of fucking sense. The game is called Crimson Desert for no fucking reason, bruh. Because the team allegedly did not finalize the story until right before the release. In the middle of it, a director was pushed out in a power struggle and resigned. And once someone from an art background became the general manager, they started overturning everything, the poster claimed. This person who became the general manager is a general manager in name only. They are just a compliant subordinate. And every person in the team who holds a rank is just a compliant subordinate. Individual will, personal opinion, they do not exist. That's because they can hold a rank. I wonder if this art manager is the reason why they introduced AI into the stuff too. The post goes on to claim that when The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom released, the team hurriedly followed and made Sky Island that made no sense. They brought in systems from various games as references, but without understanding at all why those systems were put into those games. They only exist as a means for a purpose. Translation: in that trailer where Cliff is falling out of the sky like Link, they literally just straight up ripped off Zelda, but there's no reason why it's in the fucking game. Shout out to Arrow Smoke with the super chat. Appreciate you. It's problematic to be anti-journalists when journalists are one of the reasons why we know a lot about the people in the e-files. Why even have them? Well, that's more of on a serious note. I'm talking about on the gaming side of things. I think gaming journalists fuck up sometimes, but like, I do feel like the internet is dragging the 7 out of 10 too much water in the Cuphead shit. That stuff was like 10 years ago. I feel like people are dragging it. I feel like they get it right more times than not. So I'm like, yo, you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna bat 100%. But I'm like, you guys are dragging it. It just gives gaming pick me. Now if they were doing it consistently, the Cuphead shit, then I would understand. But I'm like, you niggas are dragging this shit, bro. Come on now, y'all ain't perfect. Especially when the biggest critic is known as a plagiarist. They may not be good at the game as good as you, but at least they can write their own fucking scripts. But just a bunch of ideas without a purpose, pretty much. The second poster has seemingly since left Pearl Abyss, but said they've been part of the development team for a long time. They describe the management hierarchy as structured like an inverted pyramid, placing more leaders than rank and file employees. Yo, shout out to Chaos Controls with the super chat. People think a 7 out of 10 is bad nowadays, unfortunately. I believe most of my colleagues involved in the development were aware that Crimson Desert were going off the rails, they claimed. However, I don't think there were many in a position to speak up about it. As I mentioned, management didn't acknowledge anyone who doesn't share their exact mindset. They just praise their own work as amazing, and whenever they see a reference from here or there that looks good, they just shove it in. So they basically were just on YouTube looking at gameplay of some of their favorite games, and they said, let's put it in there. Not asking for any feedback. Because it's such a hodgepodge of features crammed together, the control layout must have been a mess too. I believe it was an inevitable conclusion that Crimson Desert would become a disaster. I don't think a proper direction can ever emerge from a company that suppresses people for calling out what is wrong, they added. That makes sense why the controls are ass too, because there's so many different ideas going on, they didn't know which direction to go. Since release, the poster said watching reviews and streamers play Crimson Desert feels bittersweet. Not least because all the comments and complaints about the game were the exact things we used to gather and say. They said we tried to stop it. They didn't listen, bruh. They didn't listen. From here on out, I expect they will try to shift the blame digging through the development history of individuals to find someone to pin the responsibility on for why it turned out the way that it did, they concluded. Anyways, to my colleagues who helped develop Crimson Desert, to those who left for various reasons, to those in the industry who supported us, you've all worked hard and thank you. The industry is very cold and harsh right now, but I hope everyone stays strong. The posts have allegedly gone viral on Korean social media and have been verified by other developers familiar with the studio. We've reached out to Pearl Abyss for a comment. Earlier today, Pearl Abyss responded to the claims in its latest game used AI. Oh, they're just talking about the AI shit. Damn, so they said this shit is verified. Oh, shit. So it was a slop gotcha game. Yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to 100% fix all the problems with the game for the simple fact that there's so many ideas going on in this game. There's no way for them to stick every landing, you know? That sucks too, because we could have had a good story, but they didn't want to do that. They just wanted to do a bunch of random bullshit. This game does feel like a bunch of ideas with no real point, and it's got pretty graphics. I do wonder how tolerant people would be of the game's bullshit if the graphics weren't so pretty. If this was an underwhelming looking game, I don't know if people would have tolerated it the same way. But interesting to hear if you're wondering why the game turned out the way that it did. Also, other Crimson Desert news. Crimson Desert players say they feel misled after learning most mounts aren't permanent. I got this game thinking I could ride bears, raptors, and dragons anytime that I wanted. Crimson Desert is finally here, and while most people seem to be enjoying their time with the game, its launch hasn't been without controversy. Developer Pearl Abyss has apologized for the AI-generated assets slipping into a release build, and there's been widespread criticism of the game's story and controls. But in terms of actual gameplay, this seems like an open-world sandbox worth checking out if you're into that sort of thing. Unfortunately, that means by which you meant to explore are fairly limited, and a growing course of players say they were misled by false advertisement. Over on Reddit, a post with almost 5,000 upvotes is titled, "Mounts Are Not Permanent. Report this to Pearl Abyss for change." The post notes that the only permanent mounts in the game you can summon are the horses. Mounts are very common in open world games and can typically be spawned at most points in areas in the game with the simple press of a button. You can do that with horses in Crimson Desert, but other mounts shown in pre-release trailers like dragons, wolves, and bears aren't freely available to the player. And you said false advertisement? To be fair, in the trailer, what they showed was the most cool shit. I do think this is a bit of a fair argument. The reason being is there's no story in this game, right? I think they could have got away with riding the dragons, the bears, and the wolves if they tied it to a story. It was like but because there's no story in this, and that's what they were promoting. You just riding a dragon for like 1 minute and then getting off. At what point does it serve? It is a little bit misleading. And I think they should have just left it in. Once you unlock the dragon, you can ride around. Especially the game is big as hell. What the fuck are you taking it away from me? There's no story in the game. But there is a story I'm convinced gamers don't read. What's the story about? This nigga died, went to the sunken place, got his head cut off, came back, don't remember nothing. Well, other than that, what's the story about? Let me know, because you seem to be very enthralled in it. Yeah, that's all they needed instead of we get random. Because like my thing is like, I'd argue you're going against the initial Crimson Desert Defense Force. What happened to this is a sandbox game? Well, they're tanking a bait. There's no story. Now they're taking away the sandbox tools. So it's really not a sandbox game. That's what they're arguing, but I don't think they're articulating themselves. It's really not a sandbox game. You can't do whatever you want. So the way you get away with those mounts is you tie them to the story, but there's no bull. It's just some bullshit. Identity Crisis, the game. They praised Elden Ring for it. Praised Elden Ring for what? What are you talking about? Elden Ring doesn't add mounts and takes them away. You get the horse and then that's it. What are you talking about? Also, Elden Ring does have a story. So I don't understand what point you're trying to make. Elden Ring's story is about a world that's ravaged by two warring families that have a bunch of gods on each side. And you come in and clean up and say there's a new king of the throne. It's very simple. It does have a story. Now there's deep, that's like on a super elementary level, but there is a story there just because you didn't understand it. You said, all right, man, that was the story. Look it up. That was the story because you didn't. Oh, see, okay. So hold on. Let me get this straight. Your Crimson Desert niggas are the most intelligent people on the internet that can understand Crimson Desert story, but you didn't understand Elden Ring story because Elden Ring story was very simple. Okay. I think, yo, the Crimson Desert, I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be funny at the end of the year when this game wins no awards. You niggas are gonna be silent. And the story is very simple as well. Okay, explain it. All right, man. He gave up and got nothing. Yeah, I don't think you got anything. Just let it go. It's okay. Motherfuckers hate to admit when they're wrong. You think this is getting nominated for Game of the Year? Fuck no. Fuck no. By the time it gets to a state where I think best case scenario, this game can get to maybe like an 8.5 after a million patches. But because the story is so ass, I don't see it getting nominated still. Resident Evil 9 is definitely a way better game than this. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put it on to when Pragmata will be better than this shit. I think Phantom Blade 0. I think Wolverine. I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm forgetting Fable. There's a lot of really good games coming out. But you're allowed to like it. It just accept that people have different opinions. Real shit. This is gonna be the Spider-Man 2. This might be the Spider-Man 2. I'm not a fan of the storytelling approach of Souls and adjacent games, except for Liza P. But Elden Ring definitely had a story. It definitely had a story. Oh, Polka Penis is in there. Yeah, that's in the conversation, man. Now, am I saying they would win this case? No. I don't know if their argument is strong enough, but I do think they have somewhat of an argument. Because I just thought, according to the Crimson Desert Defense Force, I thought this was a sandbox game. Well, when you take away the sandbox tools that you advertise in all the trailers, because go watch the Crimson Desert trailers. What do you see in that? That nigga on that jetpack on that goddamn dragon doing all types of cool shit. You don't see him running around in the forest for 30 hours. That's what they were advertising. And then, yeah, the mech suit. And then when you get it, you find out you lose it 5 minutes later. Like, it's a little shaky. It's a little shaky. And there's no real reason why you lose it. This might be why every game doesn't need 100 hours. Nah, facts. What up, Anon? What up? You got a point. Taking away the tools isn't cool. It kind of defeats the purpose. So is it a sandbox game or is it not? I don't know. Yeah, this game isn't the best. I was defending Crimson Desert, but after many hours, it's kind of mid. Not gonna lie, I was wrong. Yo, shout out to Rocket Hokage with the super chat. Appreciate it. First time watching the stream. Don't embarrass me, YouTube chat. What up, Primo? Precision jumping. If you want to ride any other creature, you can only beat it until it's tired enough to let you mount it, and then it becomes instantly aggressive again, explains a Reddit user. The in-game dragon mount is a permanent feature once it's acquired, but you're limited to 15 minutes of real-time dragon riding, followed by 50 minutes of cooldown. Like, what's the point of that? You pay $70 to ride the dragon for 15 minutes? Pearl Abyss knew, especially in a game like this where the game is 400 hours long, you only get a 15-minute ride. What is this, Uber? Pearl Abyss knew what they were doing when they showed off the bear, the raptor, the wolf, and the dragons with saddles on them. They misled people into believing they were tameable, and they're not. This needs to be changed. It feels like false. Thank you. That's the point. That's literally the point I just made. Go watch all the trailers. That is what they're advertising. But in the game, it says, nah, you can only ride that shit for 10 minutes. I don't even understand why they would do that. It's a solo game. Who am I hurting if I put the bear in the stable? That's a fact. Or if I want to ride the dragon for 2 hours straight. Shame. This is why this game needed some QA, because if they would have sat down some people and interviewed them, everybody would have been like, no, I want to keep the dragon. I want to keep the bear. It's a single player game. Shame on them for taking away the fun. They have whole trailers. I swear to God, I didn't read this article beforehand. They have whole trailers showing off mounts and you can't keep them, LOL. Imagine playing an MMO where they show off the mount in the trailer and you can't keep none of them, bruh. One commenter points out, I'm also able to confirm that several pre-launch trailers showed off bears, wolves, and dragons as rideable mounts with saddles, which would typically indicate some sort of unlockable permanent functionality. It's possible Pearl Abyss. The good news is, that's why the game should have been co-op. This game might have been better as co-op. The good news is, I do feel like these are easy fixes. It may not be a priority for them, but they could easily patch this stuff and make it permanent. I just don't understand why putting it on the timetable. Yeah, I somewhat enjoy the game, but all their fuck-ups are inexcusable. Their fuck-ups are so weird, too, because like a lot of them are easy fixes. I think the only thing they can't fix is the story, but a lot of these gameplay fixes are simple Q&A. It shows why it's important. Like, why didn't you sit anybody down and ask them, do you think it's a good idea to be able to rent the dragon for 10 minutes and then there's an hour cooldown? They'd be like, fuck no, I want to ride the dragon, bro. I unlocked it. I agree. They should have let us create a character. And then also, they for those who missed it, they got exposed for using AI all over the game. They issued an apology. On the podcast, though, I brought up a conspiracy theory. I got to call cap on it. I think they're just trying to save face because they literally said the same thing Expedition 33 said, which is interesting because I feel like they're more forgiving of this game than Expedition 33. But if you didn't watch the podcast, my conspiracy theory is, for those unaware, Midjourney, the biggest generative AI tool, came out in 2022. They started development of this game in 2017. They said that they started using the AI in early development. Well, I'm like, 2022 wasn't early development for you. So I got to call cap on this shit, bro. Because we all remember life after Midjourney and ChatGPT hit the streets. That was like crack. That's when you started getting Dolly and Perplexity and Claude and all these other AI tools, Copilot. Unless they had something that predates Midjourney, I don't know. I don't know. It seems a little fishy. The thing is, you don't have to have the best story if the gameplay and the graphics are a hit. I agree. I think if the story is just halfway decent and gets you to point A to B, that's fine. But the problem is the story is not even that. It's just a lot of yapping. Other AI news. Square Enix is turning slimes into AI chatbots in Dragon X Quest X. Square Enix and Google have partnered to inject the text giant's AI Gemini to help advise and guide players in popular Japan-only MMO Dragon Quest X. Announced at a press event over the weekend, the partnership will see Square Enix turn one of the lovely blue slimes of the Dragon Quest universe into an AI-powered chatbot called Chatty Slimy. Players can converse with the bot through both voice and text, with the bot responding with generated voice lines that can help to guide the player through different stages of the game and remark of their actions. So basically, you can just cheat your way through the game. With Crimson Desert, you gotta lock in and pay attention. You can't just turn your brain off like RE9. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Crimson Desert wishes it was Resident Evil 9. Don't do that. I don't know about you, on your own on that one, bro. I understand that's how you feel, but one of those games will be nominated for. One of those games will be nominated at the end of the year at the Game Awards. The other one won't. sparking zero adjacent energy is fucking funny, dude. That is fucking funny. Like, that's a crazy take, man. Like I. This is why I came up with the term Crimson Desert Defense Force, bruh. Because I'm not gonna lie, y'all riding a little too hard for this game, bruh. Like, this dude said RE9 turned your brain off. Nah, you have to be thinking the entire time you play Resident Evil 9. That game is nothing but puzzles. What are you talking about, right? Oh shit, that's fucking funny, man. Riding on the meat, no safety, no safety. Hey, if you like it, we love it. I do appreciate the laugh. I don't take none of this shit seriously. We talk about games. That was a crazy statement, though. I appreciate the laugh. I don't know about that one, bro. Nvidia CEO hates AI slop 2. Promises DLSS 5 isn't making more despite the evidence. Found the trailer for that indie Egyptian platformer. Oh, let me see, 1 second. Nvidia CEO has clarified that he is not a fan of AI slop, but the DLSS 5 is not aiming to turn games into it. Instead, it's a tool that developers can or cannot choose to use for development. Appearing on Lex Fridman's latest podcast, the CEO was asked about DLSS 5 and the criticisms of it a week after Nvidia announced the new AI-powered tool at GTC. Hong stated that he now understood where the criticism stemmed from just a few days after proclaiming all critics of DLSS 5 as completely wrong. I think their perspective makes sense, and I can see where they're coming from because I don't love AI slop myself. You know, all of the AI generated content increasingly looks similar, and they're all beautiful, and I'm empathetic to that way of thinking, he said. I think the thing that he's missing is DLSS 5 serves no purpose. All you're doing is you're taxing our GPUs even more. You're polluting the air, getting all the water up out of here, driving the RAM prices up. So the game looks worse. Nobody wanted the game. I'm playing Resident Evil 9 because I like the way that it looks. I don't need you should respect the artist's vision, I think. You have to be engaged in horror games. Yeah, that's why I was laughing. Speaking on the potential of DLSS 5 to turn games into AI slop, the CEO reiterated the tool was fully in the hands of the developers and under their control. DLSS 5 is 3D conditioned, it's 3D guided, it's ground truth structure data guided. The artist determines the geometry. We're completely truthful, he continued. It's conditioned by the textures, the artistry of the art, and so every single frame it enhances but doesn't change. I gotta call cap on this because there was an article that came out that said the developers of Resident Evil didn't know that their game would be featured in this. So if you're saying it's up for the developers to choose whether or not they want to use it, but the developer said they didn't use this, well, who implemented this shit? Who turned it on? I gotta call cap on this, bruh. Maybe that's your intention, but according to reports, you were doing backdoor deals and you backdoored a couple of developing Bethesda and Capcom. Like I said, full of shit. Yeah, I gotta call cap on this shit, bruh. I gotta call cap on this shit. I don't like this. Yeah, what are y'all arguing about in the chat? Chill out, bro. I'm over here laughing. I'm not taking nothing serious. Crimson Desert Defense Force, calm down. We're gonna play the game tonight. We're gonna check out the new update. Relax. This aligns with Nvidia's messaging around DLSS 5 since its announcement. Shout out to I Am Dev with the super chat. I like Crimson Desert as a sandbox, but to act like this is Game of the Year material is delusional. I'm finna rage quit fighting the camera. I think he's disconnected. Yeah, he's too rich, bro. I kind of don't want to read the rest of this because I don't like that. Let's see if there's anything else. Explicitly stated the technology is able to enhance features such as the sheen on the fabric. Nobody's buying a game because there's extra sheen on the fabric. The interaction of the light of the hair or more without altering the structure and semantics of the original scene. It's also stated in the announcement that the developers will have control over different aspects of the implementation, such as intensity, color grading, masking, and more. This, however, stands in contrast to comments made by another Nvidia employee who further detailed how DLSS 5 works with YouTube creator Daniel Owen. Speaking to Jacob Freeman, a GeForce evangelist, at Nvidia, Owen asked bluntly whether DLSS 5 was taking a static 2D rendered frame from a game and used that as a sole input for the model to enhance. And he said, yes, DLSS 5 takes a 2D frame plus motion vector as input. So damn, a Nvidia engineer is contradicting what the CEO said. And I'm gonna be honest, I tend to believe him more because what? An article came out that said the Capcom developers were not aware that Resident Evil 9 will be used as a showcase for DLS 5. They found out at the same time as us. Apparently the CEO of Capcom went behind the back of the development team and shook hands with the CEO of Nvidia. But the CEO of Nvidia is saying, oh, it's up to the developers. They have to implement it. They have to program it in. But this engineer is saying, no, you could take what's already there and put, it's a filter. You could put the filter over it. I gotta call Cap. Yeah, what the fuck is a GeForce Evangelicus? Like, what the fuck? I gotta call Cap on that shit. Unfortunate, man. Yeah, y'all done bullied that nigga out the goddamn chat, bro. It was that serious? I'm not even mad. What y'all arguing about? Other news, Resident Evil Requiem tops US February charts. Launch sales are 60% higher than The Village. US monthly charts. Resident Evil Requiem debuts as the best-selling game of 2026 in the US. Topping Sarcana's February charts. And ranking in first place across PlayStation, Xbox, and PC storefronts. The 9th installment in Capcom's survival horror franchise sold 60% more in its launch week than Resident Evil Village. Unit sales rose by more than 40%. Speaking of bundle versions, the Resident Evil Generation Pack on Switch 2, which includes Resident Evil 7, Village, and Requiem, debuted at number 20. What's the other? Is there more of this? Oh, we got the numbers for the week. All right, let's look at the top 10 best-selling games of the last month. So number 1 is Resident Evil. Number 2, 2K. I thought y'all wasn't buying Black Ops. Hold up. I thought we hated Black Ops. This is crazy. Minecraft, Helldivers, EA's FIFA, Battlefield, Madden, Dragon Quest. Oh, that's a surprise. And then Grand Theft Auto. So Ball and Gun, 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 Ball and Gun. I'm gonna be honest, I wouldn't call Resident Evil. It's technically a ball and gun game because it's got guns in it, but it's its own thing. So we're gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the top 10 games. And then y'all keep asking, why they keep making these live service games, bro, with all the shooting in the balls and shit, bro? Yeah, it's a horror game, so I'm not gonna say it. It's because y'all buy them, bro. It's because y'all fucking buy them every month. Every day, people in, yeah, no Neo 3. Every day, people in my chat say, I don't play that shit, but the charts say every month. Y'all lying. Look at that. Ghost of Yote down at number 15, nigga. I might be a ball and gun gamer low key. And here's the funny part. There's nothing wrong with that shit, bro. There's nothing wrong with that shit. As long as you're not talking about the games that you didn't play, I don't care. Niggas get so mad when you call them that shit. Niggas said I'm a potion and wand gamer. Yeah, and I don't care. You ain't got a lot of kick it, Craig. Let's look at this. Oh, this is the full Egyptian game, this indie game. Shout out to With Ease with this. Oh, that's not a super chat. God of War.
This temple has concealed a secret. The frescoes are not frozen. Here, ancient walls come alive.
Oh, this is the game with like the multiple perspectives. I thought, yeah, this is pretty cool. Like a puzzle platformer. Shout out to Dark Misogyny with the super chat. He said, once GTA 6 releases along with its multiplayer, do you think those people who love live service are going to change their views? No, they're going to love it even more. Or hate live service? No, nothing's going to change. GTA 6 is going to make it worse. Like the rumor is that it could potentially be $100 for the base version, which I hope is not true. And you got people in my chat and on the internet talking about, I can't wait to pay $100 for a video game, bro. You hate when Nintendo do it with the 80, but you love it when Rockstar. Like that's basically saying I can't wait for Rockstar to shoot me, nigga. Put the bullet in my fucking head. I can't wait. I don't know if I pay full price for this. I'd have to see reviews, but this is a cool concept. Fresco. To be fair, TBH, people have been buying $100 collector's edition since the beginning. That's not the same thing. It's $100 for the collector's edition. With the collector's edition, you get the game. You usually get like a metal case collectible book. You usually get like a figurine. They usually give you like the digital music as well. That's not the same thing. You're getting value for that $100. We're talking, I said $100 for the base version. Doesn't come with nothing but the fucking game. That will be the downfall of fucking gaming.